Hello, friends, and welcome to My Hobby Home. My name is Cathy. If you are new here, we are so happy to have you here with us. If you're not new, thank you for coming back. Today, what are we doing today? You probably saw it in the thumbnail. I'm sure you did. We are working on Clue 7 of the Reflections Mystery Quilt. I'm just bringing you guys along. I'm in the sewing room. We can chit chat. I hope everybody's doing well. It is Friday. Hooray for Friday. Don't we love it? We just love it. I love Fridays because I'm off. So, it's the start of my weekend. But friends, on this clue, we are completing the Clue 5 from February. So if you're doing this, pull your Clue 5. I had mine labeled out as like FA1, I believe. But we're just completing it. You don't have to be doing this to join along with me. You can sew anything you want to, friends. We are just sewing today. How I do this, I've watched Tammy's video on how she did it. She did kind of mention this, but I don't think she really elaborated on it. When you're putting this on, line that corner up. Line the corner up so the top will overhang. That's perfectly fine if it overhangs. Now, you want to have it even, though. You want to have that bottom corner even. Because if it overhangs too much, when you go to trim, you're going to cut that 1/4 of an inch off, and you're going to be right. You're not going to be leaving the right, what do they call that? Like seam line. You want to have at least a 1/4 of an inch before your light color shows. I have drawn my lines on my diagonals on all my rectangle pieces, and I stitch to the right. My needle is actually touching that stitch line, but I stitch to the right of the stitch line. And I'm just going to go on and do it. And friends, in the video, she was telling you about this same line. I went on and repressed mine just because I like to be able to see it really, really good. I could still see it, but on the bottom. I really couldn't see it on the top where I needed to see it, because when I pressed the other piece out, I had pressed it out so you couldn't see it very well. But all I'm doing is just laying it. I'm lining up that bottom corner and then pulling that fabric over. And where it joins that second piece, and I'm going to have to come right here to do this, where it joins that other piece just like it, I make sure my mark line goes over that press line. Now, we will be opening these up and looking at them before I go cutting anything or pressing anything out. But friends, how are you doing today? Is your weekend starting fabulous? It is just after 1 o'clock this morning. I have not done a thing today. I got up and my little kitten decides he wants to be an outside cat. So I normally don't let the kittens go out until they've been in my house for 6 months, but he's been here since right before Christmas. Well, actually Thanksgiving. So I'm just going to say he's old enough to let outside, because by then I can have them trained to answer their name and come to treats. Well, he don't like treats, so I opened the door to let my senior cat in, and he ran outside, and I'm like, well, I guess you want outside, so I left him out, and yes, I live far out in the country, but I do live on a major cut-through road. It's not supposed to be a cut-through road. It's supposed to be just a farming road, but we've got big old trucks and all coming through, and They don't go slow. People cut through the road I live on and drive like total complete maniacs. We have to watch our animals if they go out. I keep the dogs penned up. I need to go out and let one of them out because her pen is not as big as the other one, and we don't pin them up together because they will fight. I have one that will fight over food. So we're not doing that today, friends. Not doing that today. But I have a lot that I want to do this weekend. I want to take this apart and get the sashing straightened out. Get them how they need to be. And then I want to work on some more of my sunbeam quilt blocks. But I have more than just what you saw yesterday done. Not yesterday was Thursday. Oh, friends. My days are so messed up right now. I'm tired. I'm really tired, but I slept from probably 10 last night to 10 this morning, so I think 12 hours is enough sleep. I was tired. Yeah, I can feel where my press is in this, so that's why I'm not too worried about it. I can feel it right there. But anyway, I had planned on going this morning to see Miss Ava. It did not happen. I slept late. I was planning on going to the DMV and getting that real ID or whatever that is on my driver's license. I didn't do that neither. To me, that's just a nuisance. I should be able to do that online. I had to have all the information that they're wanting to get my driver's license, and now they're wanting it again. You've got to have your birth certificate, 2 forms of ID with your address. Everything I have is online. I got a water bill that's got my address on it, and that's it. I guess I could find my car insurance. I think that's got like my physical address on it as a what's it called? My garage address. I think that's on there. But I think it's real ID stuff is just another way for them to get money. Because we had to have birth certificate and all of that to get our, I don't know if it's called real ID or what it's called. It's just so you can fly. Like I couldn't even book a cruise right now if I wanted to, but I do have a passport. So I have a passport. I have my birth certificate. I just think it's just a bunch of bull hockey to make you do a lot of crazy stuff to do this. I mean, really? I guess they're trying to make sure, your ID hadn't been stolen, somebody else using it. Because I'll tell y'all, I used to work at a major mortgage company, and y'all actually hear the CEO in the news a lot. I do anyway. And that was one of the problems we had with home mortgages. People were selling Social Security numbers of deceased people. And these people would go and buy houses and they wouldn't pay for them. And, but that person is gone. I mean, that's not even who they are. So it's not really hurting them. But anyway, I can't even... I can't book a flight without it. I can't book a cruise without it on there now. Not that I'll be going on another cruise anytime soon. I liked the cruise, but I get seasick real easy because I have vertigo. And I went with the patches. I went with the wristbands. I went with meds. I took my vertigo medicine every single morning. I wore the bands that has the pressure point on it, and I wore a patch on both ears, behind both ears. And, yeah, I stayed sick. One day was so bad. Now, I mean, most of the days I was just kind of woo-woo. But one day I was in bed. I couldn't bend over to put my pants on or my shorts on because I was rolling. And I stayed in bed like the whole day. And we had just done an excursion in Merida. And it was beautiful. Loved it. But it was so hot. And I think that's what happened was it was so hot. I had tubes in my ears. And I think I had so much sweat. It was 114 degrees out. But it was beautiful. We saw real flamingos in the wild. Not like in a zoo. Flamingos is almost like a flock of turkeys. It's a whole bunch of them, and they're just everywhere. But they were so pretty. I really, really, really enjoyed that. But we went to a holy guacamole cooking class, and we cooked. Thank goodness we bought the unlimited drink thing on the excursion. It was like $5-10, but I probably drank 20 waters while we were there. And we never got out from under the canopy because I'm so pale. I would have cooked like a lobster in 5 minutes out there. I wanted to go put my feet in the water in the ocean, and I was just like, nah. And the funny thing is, when we got back, there was people, we got a notice from the cruise line, actually, because they notified the cruise line for everyone that went on this excursion and went in the ocean there. They were having that, what's that called? That bacterial, that flesh-eating bacteria. Someone had got it, and they didn't know if that's where they got it or not, but they had to report it because they were on that cruise. So we got a letter about it. Or an email. You know, we got something through our email. How they communicated everything to us was through email. But I told my sister, I said, well, I'm glad we didn't go down and get in that water. But yeah, that had happened. So y'all know, we went on our cruise back in 2019. We had scheduled one for 2020, which got canceled on us. Why do I not have enough of these? I had 16 of them. I need to make sure I got my count right then. I may have my count wrong. Or I may left one in my box. I don't know. Friends, I have converted. You know, I'm doing this as a project goes on. I'm converting my projects into the new boxes. And they are fabulous. I might have left one of my fabrics out. I think we had 16 of these rectangles. I will have to check it and see because I've got another square over here. I've got another one of these, but I don't have another one of the rectangles. So one moment, and let me check, and I've got to see what's going on here. Well, friends, I did not find that piece. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to cut another one. I was hoping maybe there would be one here in some scrappage. Oh. It had my sticky on it that said for April. So there it is, friends. So now all I need to do is put my diagonal on that one. But look, friends, does this not make it so easy? You can see your fabrics in here. I put my clues on top so I know exactly what project I'm working on in this. So it makes it really, really easy to work with. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I hope if any of y'all have ordered them, I did see quite a few people have ordered some. Let me know what you think about them. I think that they're clear. They lock good. Now I still use these. This is the one that has all my clues already in them and done. And I didn't want to put them in that box too with all my loose fabric, because that way I know if it's in the clear one, it's my fabric that can be cut. So I have drawn my diagonal, and I'm going to line it up here. I knew something funny was going on there when I didn't see, but that one fabric and no piece to go with it, I had it cut. It was just still in the box. Now, I hope I got these all good. I hope they're going right. Now, Tammy even said don't cut until you check it. So I'm going to sew this on here, on up, get it done. And then we're going to open them up and look at them to see if they're kind of what we're looking for. So let's see. When we open this up, this flap, we open this up, we should not have more than like an 1/8, she said, of overhang. Okay, it does cross over good. I don't have a lot of overhang, but it looks like I may need to catch a few more stitches in there. Looks like I was too far ahead. Let me go on and just put some more stitches in that. Because we want it caught all the way around. Okay, friends, so what I'm going to do now is just check all of them, make sure they're good. I'm going to trim and press down, and that will be it for this clue. But let me just go on and be looking at it here, because we do have a particular size that they need to be. And when I press it down, I'm just making sure I don't have more than an 1/8 of an inch out there, so I can trim it down. And she suggested using a 6.5 inch ruler. Friends, just go to the Siberian Wind. Look at her playlist for Reflections Mystery Clue for actual measurements. You can still get these patterns for free. Everything is looking good. So my clue, she did say she had to take one apart a couple times, but when I've made these in the past, I have found that if you line this bottom corner up, and when you pull this over, make sure where it crosses that this press line, make sure it's at least crossing this too, because that's where you want it to cross, is where the two meet. Now, I mean, that may give me too much. It may give me not enough. But at least I know I have more than 1/4 of an inch above this point. You do want more than 1/4 inch above that point, because when you go to sew your blocks or piece everything together, you do not want your light color touching the rest of your quilt. That's what Tammy has said. So I'm really excited. Oh, mine just, so far, I'm not going to say they've all turned out good, because I don't know yet until I get them all, you know, pressed out. And the point does look like, and she did say in her video, when you're trimming them, where your point needs to be. So y'all go watch that and pay particular attention to that measurement. Where your point is, it should be hitting at a certain place on your ruler when you're trimming, to make sure that you're even on both sides. You know, like if you've got to have a 5-inch square, that point should be at 2.5. And then just line the bottom up. Now, she did say she doesn't really worry about the bottom, but what I do is I just make sure it's lined up so we're not twisted either way. And I think she said that too. Something about you want to make sure kind of that it's even, you know, so it's not. Okay, friends, so far I'm down to my last one here. And they all look really good. So what I'm going to do now is trim off and press and then size it up. And I will show you what we have. This is going to be a quick little video here. While I'm talking to you, and guys, I'll use my little marking tool here. That center line, I will put that on my stitch line, and that's 1/4 inch. I have this link down in the description. It does make a lot of things like this really, really easy. It makes marking these diagonals real easy. And see, we got a good bit left here that I'm going to put to the side. But since everything opened and looked really well, I'm going on and trimming everything. But I just lay that center line on my stitch line, and when I cut out to the right of it, that is a perfect 1/4 inch cut. That's called the marking tool. It is an Omni Grid marking tool is what it is. Now, I know there are some other things out there. Now, friends, I had some of my co-guests at a quilt retreat tell me about this very first quilt retreat I ever went to. I was lost. I had no clue. And oh, I learned so much at that quilt retreat with Kristen at Icy Stars Quilting. And that one, she actually had a pattern that you would go out and you purchase the pattern, and some had their fabrics cut, some didn't have their fabrics cut, some was already sewing, some had just gotten it and grabbed their fabric, you know. But the next one, she says she realized that a lot of people were not on the same skill level, you know, to do that. And that was probably my first quilt larger than a crib quilt. That was my Starly. It was a beautiful quilt. And then we did another online kind of quilt retreat, sew along that we did, and it was, she told us what fabrics to get, and then she said pick out whatever pattern, you know, so you could have your skill level. Well, I picked what is called the Whirlwind, and that is the one where I realized I do not like templates. And so those were like 2 of my lap quilt sizes that I had, first lap quilts that I had ever made. The Starly was. And it's beautiful. I mean, I love that quilt. And when you look at it, I was still a fairly new quilter. I'd only been quilting since June of the prior year, because that was in 2024. And I had started June of 2023, and the retreat was like in February or March, somewhere early in the year. And I mean, but luckily I had sewing experience. I mean, I had sewn almost my whole life, and a lot of you guys already know this, but my new people may not know this. My aunt and my grandmother started all of us sewing. By the time we were 8, we had all made a pair of sleep shorts. So that, I mean, that's, you know, was our first sewing thing. And I mean, I even, when we did 4-H in elementary and junior high, I did the sew with cotton every year. And I placed, I remember one year I placed and we went to state with it, or whatever it's called. Let me press and I'll be right back, and we will trim up 2 sides. Alrighty friends, I only pressed out a few so I could go on and bring one to you. Now we have, like I said, we have a certain size that it needs to be. I'm going to try to line this bottom up the best I can. I can see my quarter mark at the top, but I can see it's not going to be wide enough. Let me see if I measure that up. We're going to find a way to make this wide enough. Well, I am cutting the top right there, and what I'm going to do is turn it and put that back on that mark and line it up at the top. We're going to say that's close enough. I'm going to trim these on the bottom. So that's what our piece is looking like. So friends, go on and do the other 15 that you have, and we will come back in a month and work on our clue 8. So friends, thank you for joining me in my sewing room. Even if you are not sewing the same thing I am, I appreciate you being here. You know, we're all different creative minds, so we don't all have to do the same thing. So once again, friends, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you have not yet. You don't want to miss a single thing. I do have a new quilt over here on my pressing board getting ready for me to make, so you don't want to miss that. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. I do try to respond to each and every comment personally. And as always, until I see you again, I hope you have a very blessed day. Bye, friends.